and if you look at the issue of Hamas, with their crude bombs, they were able to hit Israel also. So Venezuela will be able to hit us. They will hit our oil fields, our platforms. They'll be able to hit us. And for what? And for what? And for what? Not for drug trafficking, not for human trafficking, but because America wants to change the regime in Venezuela. And we have been placed in harm's way for this nefarious act to be done. We are in a most precarious situation. Our circumstances is most precarious. And I'm saying today, I don't know if I'll be here next week. But what I know, once America tries to get Maduro, there'll be bombs dropping places in Trinidad. A word to the wise is sufficient. So folks who are coming in late, I want you to know we are on VOP TV out of New York, and we are going across the world in more places than we have ever gone. And this will be our setup from here on in. Next week, I'll be here live with my sisters. We will come by next week and we will make sure we do this thing in a nice way. So I just want you to understand, I'm just trying to get the technology right here. You know? Don't beat up on me. I don't beat up on me. There are some things I do well and some things I can't. But I'm going to take us into, we are repeating a program just for today. Just for today. And when after it is repeated, next week when I come by, we'll be going all the way live and alive with our programming. So just for today, we have to repeat a program that we did before called Surviving Cancer, as you're seeing on your screen. Be blessed. Be blessed, my brothers and sisters. Be blessed.
Here, he put man in place after he had made all the provision. He put all the food, he put good air, he put sunlight, he put moonlight, he put stars, he put flowers, he put trees, he put food, and then he gave man a mate. That is after all the animals and all the birds and all the fish. He made man in his image. Do you understand what that means? We are like God in part. We are part spirit and we are flesh. And you know what God did? When man sinned, God took on humanity. He belittled himself because man was created lower than the angels. And God, in order to save us, in order to take my place and justify me so that I could return to him and be once more joined with him in peace with him, he took on humanity and died. He gave his blood. I am bought with a price, and the price is his blood. And so are you, and so are all men. From the beginning of time, we have had this privilege. So when I sing Blessed Assurance, Jesus is mine, I want to sing praise and glory to God on high. Praise ye the Lord. Praise the Lord, O my soul. While I live, I will praise the Lord. I will sing praises unto my God while I have any being. Put not your trust in princes, or in the Son of Man, from whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. In that very day, his thoughts perish. Happy is the man that has the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God, which made heavens and earth and the seas and all that therein is, which keepeth truth forever, who executeth justice, judgment for the oppressed, who speaketh truth, who gives food to the hungry. The Lord opens the eyes of the blind. He looses prisoners. He gives hope to those who are bowed down. The Lord loved the righteous He preserves strangers. He relieves the fatherless and the widows. But the way of the wicked he turns upside down. The Lord shall reign forever. No other God. No other God by any other name can be God. There is no other God. Thank God there is no other God, because we'd all be in trouble. If it were not for the Lord, if it were not for the Lord, said Israel should say, all those who believe in God, we would be overflowed. So let us thank God today. Praise ye the Lord for all your wondrous works to the children of men. Amen.
From the spirit that forged us to the vibrant tapestry we are today, our flag witnesses it all. Carry our story proudly. Choose Baker's flags and emblems. Visit us today. Every thread holds a memory, every color a promise. At Baker's Flags and Emblems, we understand what these symbols mean. We craft each piece to carry the weight of our history, the brilliance of our future. From the spirit that forged us to the vibrant tapestry we are today, our flag witnesses it all. Carry our story proudly. Choose Baker's Flags and Emblems. Visit us today.
JD Furniture Store, we believe the things you choose for your home should last your family years to come. Whether it's a cozy furniture for your bedroom, living room, or kitchen appliances, we've got it all. Obsess over your home's comfort, and we'll obsess to ensure it's affordable with zero down options and home by you in no time. Visit JD Furniture showroom in Arima or www.jdfurniturestore.com to buy and apply today. Open weekdays only. Call or WhatsApp 219 3000 today.
Victorious Lifestyle on Real TV. Again, we want to thank Sister Alison Brown for taking us through such a wonderful devotional. As I would have mentioned earlier, today we're going to be talking about surviving cancer. And with us, we have our guest for this morning, Sister Melinda Toussaint. Now, Sister Melinda, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, and we'll get to know you during the course of the interview.
Okay, sure. Hi. Good morning. My name is Melinda Toussaint. I reside in Chaguanas. I am 47 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't look so right.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm 47 years of age. I'm married.
Right.
And I have one infant child. Yes. And that's basically in a snippet who Melinda Tusa basically
All right,
is.
and it's so lovely to have you. I want to thank you for coming here and speaking to us. We know that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and
Yes.
so today we're talking about surviving cancer. So can
Right.
you tell us a bit about when and how, let's start from the origin of that story.
Right.
When and how did you discover that were you diagnosed with cancer?
It happened on a Boxing Day.
Okay.
Yeah, December
Wow.
26th
Yeah.
of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, around that period, everybody is in a festive mood
Right.
because it's the Christmas season and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened on that day. I got up and something told me, you know what, Melinda, just do a quick self-examination.
Right. Wow.
You know, so it was a self-examination that started this entire journey.
Right.
So upon doing that self-examination, I was uncertain because it wasn't, as they say, a huge lump.
Right.
You know, it was really tiny. So, but I still felt
Right.
something. Right. So I said, you know what? Let me go get it checked out. You know, and being the Christmas season,
Right.
I had to wait until after the holidays. You know, because during that time places would be closed and
yes.
that sort of thing. So I waited until I think it was January.
Okay.
That was where the entire process began with the screening and that sort of thing. So eventually, when was it? February? Yes, early February. I went and I did all the tests, and that was how I found out. The doctor, my oncologist, told me, you know, they are seeing abnormal cells
Right.
there,
Wow.
and I needed to do further testing just to be 100% sure. But the thing about it is that the first test that they did,
Right.
they told me that they were 90% sure at first that it was not what they
wow.
thought it was,
Wow.
you know. But something within me, I guess it was the Holy Spirit
Right.
that said, you know what, Melinda, still pursue it a little
Right.
further. Go on to do further testing.
Right.
So it was on the further testing, then they realized that yes, it was breast cancer.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I think something that you mentioned that's so important is listening to that small voice.
Yeah.
I think it's so amazing that it started off from just that, what we call a feeling, but we know it's the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
speaking to you and saying, do that self-examination.
Yeah.
You know, and just trusting that voice.
Yeah.
But could you tell us a bit about, like you would have said, you heard first, nothing to worry about, 90% sure is nothing to worry about.
Yes.
And then having a complete 180, well, we're sure is this.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you got that diagnosis then?
Wow. I was, well, when the doctors called me in to inform me, well, my husband came with me, you know,
Right.
he was my support, he's my support. So when they called us in to inform us, at first I cried,
Right.
you know, in the doctor's office, because I mean, you know,
Of
that's
course.
not news you would want to
Right,
hear.
yes.
Right? So I cried. I must admit, I made some loud screaming songs as well in the
yes,
office.
yes.
So, you know, they let me calm down because I
Right.
mean, you know, it's the initial hearing of, okay, this is breast cancer.
Right.
And, you know, so I cried. And then afterwards, my husband took me to my aunt's house, my great aunt, because she was living relatively close, right? And she is what we would call like a prayer warrior.
Right.
Most of our family go to her when when things are concerning
Right.
us and bothering us,
Yes.
and she would pray, and so he asked me, you want to go, my aunt? I said, yeah, let's go.
Right.
So we went there, and I told her what happened, and she prayed, and so it was reassuring that what, everything is going to be all right.
Right.
Let's just take this one step at a time. So yeah.
So that's what, and I mean, of course, it's a life-changing, life-altering bitter news that you got.
Definitely.
And I think it's commendable that on the part of you and your husband, the first thing that went through your mind is, okay, let's pray about it.
Yeah.
And I could imagine for some persons, one of the first thoughts that maybe went through their mind is not to necessarily pray, because some persons may have the view of blaming God, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Why did God allow this to happen to me? And other negative thoughts and challenges that may come with it. Have you experienced any of that during your course of treatment or dealing with this diagnosis?
Well, the human part of me, honestly speaking, yes, at times you would have questioned or asked yourself, Lord, why me? Why did this have to happen to me?
Right.
Because nobody in my family had it. So why me? But then after a while, my husband, as I said, he was really strong with
Right.
me and standing with me. And he said, you know what, Melinda, we will go through this journey together.
Right.
So we prayed all the way through, and the family support was phenomenal, so God saw me through.
Yes, he did. He is
Yeah.
faithful. And
Sometimes
he allows things to happen, but he promised to be with us through
Definitely.
through the things that he allows.
Definitely.
And you mentioned your husband, your great aunt, your support system. What else, or who else then was instrumental in supporting you throughout this entire time? And what did they do that was really helpful in supporting you?
Well, as I said, my husband,
Right.
my family, and by extension, extended family.
Right.
It was amazing. My parents, everybody chipped in where
Right.
necessary. Because what I forgot to mention was that all of this happened during COVID.
Right. 2020, yes.
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Right.
And you know that during that time, we had a lot of restrictions.
Right.
Right? So, in terms of treatment, when I had to go to treatment, there were restrictions in terms of social distancing
And gathering and
the
yes.
wearing of the mask
Right.
and that sort of thing. So, what would happen on one of my treatment days? My father, my parents, who would have lived closer to the treatment center. So my dad would have gone early in the morning, very early in the morning, to go get a number, because you had to go by number. So he
Okay.
would go get the number and wait until my husband and I came down, because we were
Wow.
coming from Chaguanas.
Yes.
So he was living closer to St. James.
Right.
So he would go get the number, wait until we came down, and then I would take over from there.
Right.
So that was my dad doing his part, right? Then I had others who would have done their part as well, in terms of maybe providing meals for
Right.
us, support, encouragement, giving
Right.
advice in terms of dietary advice, in terms of what I should eat, and changing of my diet and that
Yes.
sort of thing. So the support was tremendous, right? From all around.
Right. And I think support is very important.
Yes.
Especially for something that as drastic as this was.
Yes.
And of course we thank God for your parents and your husband being there and stepping up, because, of course you are directly affected by a diagnosis, but so is everyone around you.
That's true.
So I am so happy to hear that you had the support and the encouragement and these sorts of things. Well, you mentioned the treatment and the treatment
Yes.
center and having to wait,
Yes.
and we hear so much horror stories about the public healthcare facility, even private healthcare facilities. Could you tell us a bit about what treatment was like and how it affected you and how it made you feel?
Well, initially when I started treatment, I was scared, because I didn't know what to expect. Right? I just knew that that treatment would be a bit harsh on the body, right? So I did chemotherapy, and after that I did radiation. Well, first I did the surgery,
Yes.
right? And then chemotherapy, and then radiation, right? going into chemotherapy, you know, as I said, all through this, I had to pray and ask
Right.
God to guide me, right? Going in, it was difficult because of the fact that, yes, the treatment is going to assist in helping you to feel better
Yes.
and getting rid of the cancer cells. But at the same time, it's also killing some of the good cells.
Right.
Right? So as I was going through treatment, you know, I sat there and, you know, looking around at all the other persons, cancer patients, they're going through treatment, waiting on treatment, and, you know, it was a bit, I felt a bit sad and discouraged at the time, you know, because here I am, you know, going through this thing, and I'm like, Lord, why me? But then I began to pray again, right? So treatment was a bit rough, and I remember one time, I think it was my last treatment session,
Right.
while going through that session, that I began to bring up, right,
Okay.
to puke,
Right.
as they would say,
Yeah.
right. So they had to stop treatment for a little while
Okay.
until I was able to catch myself again,
Right.
and then continued. And with treatment, remember, it's an infusion
Right.
going into your system, right? So just seeing that needle there in my
Yeah.
hand and seeing the
Yes.
that thing going inside
you.
into me,
Yeah.
you know, it all sorts of things
Right.
went through my mind. So much so that up to today, anytime I maybe have to get some sort of infusion
Right.
in my hand, it triggers all of
PTSD.
all of that comes back in
Right.
terms of, okay, remember what happened that time and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So whenever, that's a trigger, that's one of
Yes.
my triggers. Whenever
Yes.
I have to, any needle that goes in,
Yeah.
it triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's basically it.
Right.
And as I said, treatment brought with it different types of feelings in terms of you're ill feeling, you're not feeling well. At times you're so nauseous.
Right.
You're feeling to bring up,
Yeah.
but then nothing comes up. So it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And then you can't really eat. Your senses are all over the
Right.
place. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So, you know, its treatment was a bit harsh, right? That's the chemotherapy. It was a bit harsh. And I can say it's only God that saw me
Definitely.
through the treatment.
Yes, definitely.
You know? Yeah.
Yes. And you know, I'm so interested to hear so much more about what it is you have to say in terms of getting through treatment and your mindset during all of this. And, you know, I look forward to hearing about that. But right now we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from Sister Melinda about her journey and how we can help those around us who may have the same diagnosis as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Every thread holds a memory, every color a promise. At Baker's Flags and Emblems, we understand what these symbols mean. We craft each piece to carry the weight of our history, the brilliance of our future. From the spirit that forged us to the vibrant tapestry we are today, our flag witnesses it all. Carry our story proudly. Choose Baker's Flags and Emblems. Visit us today.
JD Furniture Store, we believe the things you choose for your home should last your family years to come. Whether it's a cozy furniture for your bedroom, living room, or kitchen appliances, we've got it all. Obsess over your home's comfort, and we'll obsess to ensure it's affordable with zero-down options and home by you in no time. Visit JD Furniture, showroom in Arima, or www.jdfurniturestore.com to buy and apply today. Open weekdays only. Call or WhatsApp 219-3000 today.
For 62 years, the Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventists has been writing stories of recovery, resilience, and renewal. Here, healing isn't just about medicine. It is about finding peace in a comfortable environment, strength in our state-of-the-art facilities, and hope in every interaction. At the Community Hospital, we are more than your healthcare providers. We are your neighbors, your friends, your family in healing. Your journey to wellness begins with a single call. Let's write your story of healing together.
For all your healthcare needs, give us a call at 622-1191 or visit our website, thecommunityhospital.org, to make an appointment today.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventists,
Where good private health care is affordable.
And we are back. We are here with Sister Melinda Toussaint, who is so bravely speaking about her surviving cancer journey. And before the commercial break, you were telling us about your treatment.
Yes.
And how difficult that would have been, of course, physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yes.
But you also spoke about your husband, your support system. What would have really helped you stay strong during your treatment?
During treatment, one of the things, as I said, the main thing is prayer.
Right.
Right, and devotion. Another thing would be the support system from your family and that sort of thing, and having persons there, you know, that you can depend on, right? Because that's really important. Having persons that you know you could depend on and owe to, right? And those were some of the things that kept me.
Yeah.
So even though I was going through the treatment and it was a bit harsh at times, just knowing that those persons were there
Right.
to support and encourage and that sort of thing, it made treatment a little more bearable, right?
Yes.
And even as I said, what would have happened? It was during COVID, right? So yes, it was during COVID, and I know, you know, during that time everybody was social distancing and that sort of thing, and you know, and at that COVID, yes, while there were persons who would have gone through experiences during COVID, it was sort of, COVID made it a little easier because remember, while going through treatment, I'm still employed, right? Because I teach.
Right. Okay.
So so
blessing in disguise.
Yeah, you know. So at that time, they would have shut down schools for a bit. But when school reopened initially, it would have been online.
Right.
So here is me going through treatment while also at home doing online teaching.
Right.
You know, so. That was like that was God in terms of still being able to do what I had to do.
Right.
Yeah.
To get through, yes.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And you know, COVID was such a scary time for a lot of people because, you know, you're seeing a lot of sickness, a lot of death everywhere, and then on top of that to be dealing with this life-changing diagnosis, I could imagine it was not easy at all.
Yeah, and then what also happened was during COVID, it was rough, right? What happened during COVID as well was that my husband's father had passed away.
Wow.
So that made it even more challenging on us, particularly him.
Right.
Because he would have had to deal with, you know, the death of his father as well as, okay, your wife is going through treatment, your wife has breast cancer. So it was particularly rough on him, you know, and I want to thank him for being there, you know. So that was basically it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, like I would have mentioned earlier, you speak so bravely about it, you know, but were there times during treatment, you know, like I would have mentioned, COVID is happening, your family is being affected, you are being affected in so many different ways. Were there any times where you felt like, okay, I feel like I just want to give up. I feel like it's too much, it's overwhelming. Did you ever feel like that? And if so, how did you deal with those feelings and those thoughts?
Yes, there were times that I felt that, it was a bit much.
Right.
Sometimes while sitting there in the treatment center waiting, because you had to wait your turn, I would, tears would come down my
Right.
eyes. Lord, why? And he would send he would reassure me, I'm with you during
Right.
this, don't worry. Even as I said, the support system that I had, I could have gone to any one of my family members and talked to them about it, and they would listen.
Right.
Because it's human to feel discouraged.
Of
It's
course.
human to want to give up, But if you have a support system, if you have God, then it makes it easier and a little more bearable, to continue on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And going through such a life-changing experience, I'm sure that you would have learned many lessons, and many things would have happened to you and within you. So can you share with us then some of the lessons that going through this would have taught you?
Okay. One of the lessons that it would have taught me was that anything can happen to anybody at
Right.
any particular time. Yeah. Never take life for granted.
Of course.
Never take your family for granted, your friends for granted. Live each day as though it were
Your last.
your last.
Yeah.
So it taught me not to take things for granted. And just to reach out to persons, because there are persons also out there who are going through experiences, and I would have wanted to reach out to persons as well. So not take life for granted, and just live each day as though it were your last, and just trust God through the process.
Of
Trust God through the
Yeah.
process, because it isn't easy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate those lessons, and it's something that we should really bear in mind as we go
Yeah.
from day to day. Coming back a bit earlier, you would have mentioned, after receiving the diagnosis and the support from your family and the different changes you had to make in your life, your diet, maybe different things. Could you tell us a bit about some of the lifestyle changes that you had to make?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely there were lifestyle changes. Diet,
Right.
in terms of diet, yes. So before I would have eaten meat. So after the diagnosis, I told myself, let's see how much we can change up this
Right.
diet a bit and keep away from the meat. So for the most part, I changed to the vegetarian lifestyle, right? Also, exercising. Exercising is important. So
Yeah.
I would have tried to exercise a bit more, right? And just be aware of my body
Right.
and the things that are happening within me. What is important is that, as I said, we pay attention to our bodies and
Right.
what is happening, right? And do checks. If you think something is wrong, if you sense something is wrong or not right, check it out.
Right.
Right? So I did that a bit more frequently, right? What again? My relationships in terms of with family and
Right.
friends is closer. And those were some of the things, in terms of the changes.
Right.
My diet, exercise, closer bonds with family and friends,
Right.
and that sort of thing. Because as I said, we ought not to take life for granted.
Of course.
Sometimes people bicker
Right.
and argue and that sort of thing. And, it doesn't really make sense, because we're here for a short while.
Right.
And, as the Bible says, live peaceably with each other.
Right.
Right? So all of those things were some of the changes that I made, and I learned to trust God
Of course.
a little more as well.
Definitely. And you mentioned with your diet changing over to a vegetarian diet. How was that experience like? Was it difficult? I mean, of course,
Yeah.
wanting to be healthy is a big motivator.
Yeah.
But was that transition difficult? And did you see a real change then switching over to this vegetarian diet?
Honestly speaking, it wasn't as difficult that I thought that it would have been.
Yeah.
However, there were times when you would be in a gathering and you would see persons,
Of course.
eating meat and that sort of thing, and the cravings would
Right.
come and that sort of thing. But then you remember, hey, the lifestyle change
Yes.
and that sort of thing. So it wasn't that difficult, but there were times when, I asked myself, do I really want to be a vegetarian? Do I
Yes.
really want to change and that sort of thing? But,
Yes. Of course.
as I said, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're still a vegetarian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's very.
I'm
that's,
trying.
yes, and it's so commendable because I know it's difficult for a lot of persons
It is.
to make these lifestyle changes. But and you would have mentioned you see a difference with the change in diet in terms of your health and these sorts of things.
For the most part, yes. But as I said, there needs to be consistency in
Right.
terms of, particularly with the exercise. There needs to be consistency. So at times I would have found myself lapsing a little bit in terms of the exercise, and so then I have to remind myself, what, Melinda, remember that you want to maintain a healthy body, a healthy
course.
lifestyle, so you need to be consistent.
Yes.
know?
And so the exercising, this was more at home.
At home and in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, so walking, some light jogging, that sort of thing.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
also was very helpful, and because I could imagine these changes came about during treatment as well.
Yes.
And I could imagine during treatment you would have felt, like you mentioned, nauseous, weak at
Yeah,
times. What
yeah.
was it like having to juggle feeling this way? And I could imagine you had a million and one excuses not to exercise
Yeah.
and just to, eat comfort food or do whatever it is to get through. What helped you then be resilient and disciplined enough to say, I know I am feeling this way, but I have to exercise and do these sorts of things?
Well, as you said, discipline.
Right.
There needs to be discipline in terms of, okay, this has happened to me. Let me see what I can do in terms of lifestyle changes.
Right.
So it was difficult, some of those changes, and during treatment there wasn't much in terms of exercising.
Right.
So the exercising and that sort of thing would have come in maybe a little after treatment. Was some of it during, because the doctors advised that you get up and you go for a walk and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
some of it would have happened during treatment, but after that, it just I just needed to be consistent in terms of the exercising, and as you said, during treatment it would have been a little more difficult because to go through treatment you're feeling nauseous and all these things happening in your body, and sometimes you just don't feel to get up and do anything.
Yeah.
Not that you don't want to, but because you're not, because of the treatment,
Of
it
course.
causes you to lay back and
Yes.
just do nothing at times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
it.
and I could imagine that struggle where you want to, so your mind is telling you one thing, but your body is doing another thing,
Yeah.
and that internal struggle that you have. And I'm gonna want to ask you more about that.
Yes.
Again, we're gonna just take a break and go to the commercial, and then when we come back, we'll continue to hear about your story and what life looks like on the other side, coming
Yeah.
out of that, having been through treatment and all these different things. So we want to encourage you to stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Every thread holds a memory, every color a promise. At Baker's Flags and Emblems, we understand what these symbols mean. We craft each piece to carry the weight of our history, the brilliance of our future. From the spirit that forged us to the vibrant tapestry we are today, our flag witnesses it all. Carry our story proudly. Choose Baker's Flags and Emblems. Visit us today.
JD Furniture Store, we believe the things you choose for your home should last your family years to come. Whether it's a cozy furniture for your bedroom, living room, or kitchen appliances, we've got it all. Obsess over your home's comfort, and we'll obsess to ensure it's affordable with zero-down options and home by you in no time. Visit JD Furniture showroom in Arima or www.jdfurniturestore.com to buy and apply today. Open weekdays only. Call or WhatsApp 219-3000 today.
For 62 years, the Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventists has been writing stories of recovery, resilience, and renewal. Here, healing isn't just about medicine. It is about finding peace in a comfortable environment, strength in our state-of-the-art facilities, and hope in every interaction. At the Community Hospital, we are more than your healthcare providers. We are your neighbors, your friends, your family in healing. Your journey to wellness begins with a single call. Let's write your story of healing together.
For all your healthcare needs, give us a call at 622-1191 or visit our website, thecommunityhospital.org, to make an appointment today.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
Where good private healthcare is affordable.
And we are back and we are here with Sister Melinda Toussaint, who is telling us about her cancer surviving journey. So you were telling us a bit about treatment,
Yes.
and how that would have affected you. Just generally, how long would this treatment have lasted?
So generally, treatment would have lasted, I would say, roughly a year. First, as I said, I began with chemotherapy.
Right.
So that would have begun in June and ended in December.
Right.
So chemotherapy would have lasted approximately 6 months, right? And then we went on to radiation. Radiation began in April. So I had a pause between chemotherapy and radiation. So my body got a little
Rest.
from treatment,
Yeah.
which I was thankful
Right.
for. Right? So after chemotherapy, we went into radiation in April.
Okay.
So at this time, COVID would have basically been eased up a bit, right? And things would have been gradually going back to normal. Schools would have been reopened. So with schools now being reopened and me still having treatment, it was a bit challenging, right? Because now I had to juggle school, going to teach, and going to treatment.
Right.
Right? So what I would have done was that I would have informed my principal
Right.
at the time. And she was a really nice person, very understanding, so she was also a support system, very understanding. So I would have explained to her what was happening, and she would have said, you know what, do what you have to do what needs to be done.
Definitely.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
So what would have happened when school reopened? I would have had to go to school as usual and teach, and then at lunchtime I would have had to go to treatment.
Wow.
And then after and mind you, I teach in Chaguanas,
Yes.
and treatment is in
St.
Port of
Right.
Spain. So I would have had to leave at lunchtime, go down to Port of Spain, and take my treatment. That's the radiation. So luckily with radiation, it isn't long because of the rays, so it
Right.
wasn't long. So it would have lasted about 10 minutes per
Right.
session,
Right.
right? So after that, I would have had to come back up to school and continue teaching,
Wow.
right? Sometimes the principal, in her discretion, she would have allowed me to go home, you know, and you know, she would have said, go home and rest yourself and that sort of thing. Now with radiation, it happens every day. I would have had to do radiation every day for a month, roughly a month.
Right.
Yeah. So at times it would have taken a toll on my system, and it would have made me extremely tired.
Wow.
Right? So at times I found myself just, you know, in a daze and
Right.
just trying to go through, but you know, God saw me through. You know, so that was what happened after COVID in terms of treatment
Right.
and the radiation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine going through this and still teaching.
Right.
Teaching is already one of the most difficult jobs. Is it primary school or secondary?
Yes, primary.
Even worse.
Yes.
I cannot imagine, you know, it's already so difficult, and then to go and do this treatment and then come back and teach and
Yeah.
still, you know, show up in so many different ways, you know, with your family, with your job,
Yeah.
and still trying to show up for yourself going
Yeah.
through all of this. I can't imagine how
Yeah.
difficult it would have been.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to commend and congratulate you on just sticking it through.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I am so pleasantly surprised to hear your positive attitude and your positive outlook and you know, just staying positive through all of this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you are indeed an inspiration, you know, to me,
Yeah.
to those listening, and all these different,
Yeah.
you know, sorts of
And
things.
as I said, you know, the support system was important as
Right.
well. Even at school, you know, those who knew about it, you know, the principal and a couple other close friends, close colleagues, you know, they were there, you know, always checking in on
Right.
me, passing to my class, you okay, you
Yeah.
need anything, and that sort of thing. So they also made it a bit easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, of course. You know, and treatment is something that is so, you know, affects you a lot in so
Yeah.
many different ways. Were there any unexpected side effects that you really didn't expect or hear about? You know, sometimes we hear from persons expect this and expect that, but something that happened that really caught you off guard.
Well, funny enough, it was a Saturday afternoon. I was home, and I think I was listening to something in relation to cancer as well.
Right.
And someone had mentioned that one of the side effects was that their tongue would have been a bit discolored in terms of darker.
Right.
So when I heard that, I ran quickly to the washroom and I opened my tongue and I was like, oh. You know, so before that I didn't know that was one of the side effects.
Right.
But when it was so funny that, you know, I heard it and then I ran to the
Soon, yeah.
washroom and I was like, because I never really paid attention to, you know, you don't really pay attention
Right.
to that, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, and then I
Yeah.
had to thank God again. You know, we had to wear masks because, you know, it was still COVID. So when I would speak, nobody would see
yes.
in there, you know, because I was wearing masks.
Right.
And also, my eyebrows.
Okay.
You know, sometimes us ladies, you know, in terms of our physical,
Right.
you know, we pay close attention to certain things.
Definitely.
So another side effect would have been, you know, the eyebrows would have fallen off. So eventually that started to happen at the later stage. You know, so that started to happen, and you know, I was like, you know what? Okay, all of this comes with it. Eventually it's going to grow back. You know,
Yes.
eventually things are going to get better. Eventually my hair is going to grow back as well.
Right.
You know, so don't worry. You know, but that thing with the tongue, it was really funny.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't know that was one of the side effects, and when it happened, I was like, okay,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, that's more on the physical side. Could
Yeah.
you tell us a bit about the emotional and mental side effects of going through this treatment?
Emotionally at times, you know, there were mood swings because, you know, at times I would feel, you know, okay, I'm doing great, you know, and then when the nausea and all that sort of thing starts to kick in, you get cranky.
Right.
And anybody in and around, near around you, you may want to snap and take it out on them, but thank God they would have understood that, okay, she's going through this,
Right.
and, so just be patient. So there were mood swings, there were times when you just wanted to scream. At times I just wanted to scream and say, okay, this is enough, but yeah, God saw me through.
Yes.
God saw me through that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as we would have mentioned before, this is not just you alone going through this
No.
experience.
Yeah.
And particularly your husband then. What role would he have played, in assisting you with, you're going through these side effects. You're
Yeah.
still managing, your personal life, your health, your job, all these different things. Tell us a bit more. You would have mentioned it earlier as well, as he being part of your support system, but a bit more about what practical things he would have done that would have been particularly helpful.
Okay, well, he would have helped out in the household, so he would have had to take on a bit more responsibility in terms of the making sure that every day-to-day stuff is taken care of within the household and that sort of thing, the groceries and that sort of thing. So yeah, he would have had to take on a little more responsibility within the household.
Right.
Yeah. And what I also forgot to mention, sorry about this, was that, as I said, it was during COVID.
Right.
So during that time, we got COVID as well.
Oh
So
my, how could you
having to battle cancer.
Right. Oh my goodness.
And then during COVID,
Right.
my husband and I got COVID.
Wow.
So it was a double blow for me.
Right.
It was traumatic. So here we were, we had to be at home because, once
Right.
you have COVID, you can't
course,
really go
yeah.
out. So it was difficult as well, So we had friends and family who would come, drop stuff by the gate
Door,
for us,
yeah.
by the door, and then, make sure that we were okay and had to leave,
Right.
So yeah, so I would have called it when persons asked me about it. I would have said battling cancer and COVID. I would have given it the term C squared.
Okay. Yeah.
COVID, cancer,
Yes.
during that time having to battle those two
Right.
things, it was a bit difficult.
Right.
But thank God, luckily, in terms of COVID, for us, it wasn't as severe as some
Right.
persons would have gone through their experience with COVID.
Yeah. And I definitely, when you speak, I see your faith shining through.
Yeah.
And definitely, and you would have mentioned it already, it's definitely because of God.
Yeah.
Yes, cancer is one thing, COVID is one thing, having
Yeah.
both of them together is a
Yeah.
completely different story.
It was,
and I
yeah.
think, yes, props to the treatment, the doctors, the
Yeah.
support system, but at the end of the day, we have to agree that it's God.
Definitely.
Is an absolute miracle.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you are well aware of that.
Yes,
That is
yeah.
an absolute miracle that you would have made it through. And
Yeah.
God, He doesn't do things by chance.
True.
And so He definitely has a reason for allowing you to go through this and then seeing you through on the other side here as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And so treatment is over.
Yeah.
And you are still recovering, still implementing the lifestyle changes. Coming out of treatment then, how was that adjusting to, okay, I wouldn't say back to normal, but back to the grind, back to, more or less adjusting and adapting. How was that then?
Right. Well, going back to some sort of normalcy, it took time because some of the side effects would have lingered, right? So it took time. Even to today, sometimes, there are some side effects that you would feel in terms of some tinglings here and
Right.
there. So it took time. I had to learn to be patient with myself, to be patient with my body.
Right.
So it would have took time to gradually get back to a sense of normalcy, as you say. Yeah.
Definitely. And we may have persons listening online and on Real TV
Yes.
who may unfortunately have recently been diagnosed.
Yes.
And, when you are in that situation, a million thoughts, of course, race through your mind and you're thinking, okay, what advice or what would you say then to somebody who recently received their diagnosis? What would you say to them?
What I would say to them is that cancer one is not a death sentence. Early detection is important. So I am encouraging persons, to do your self-checks, go and do your examinations and that sort of thing. Early detection is important. And once it's detected early, you go about your treatment and that sort of thing. So it's not a death sentence, and once caught early and going through the treatment, everything should be fine. Trust in God, right? That's important. Having a support system that is there for you to encourage and to help out and that sort of thing. So that's just some of the advice. Yes, at times we feel discouraged. Yeah, it's, as I said, it's human.
Yes.
Right? But trust in God and the support system, and everything should be okay.
Yeah.
Because God has promised to see us through.
Of course.
So.
And we mentioned earlier the lifestyle changes. Is that something that you would recommend as, yes, that would be helpful as well, the vegetarian diet, the exercise?
Yeah, lifestyle change is also very important, because sometimes some of the things you have done before, may or may not have contributed to it.
Definitely.
So lifestyle change also is important.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes these sorts of things can be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Especially where health is concerned. I've heard many stories
Yes.
from other persons as well, not necessarily cancer, but heart disease and
Yes.
diabetes and these
Yeah.
sorts of things that God allows to happen for us to have a
Yeah.
wake-up call of, okay, I know my diet, my exercise, my mental health, different things, changes need to be made.
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, sometimes God needs to do that to get our attention, to be like, okay, this is serious, you need to, these
Yes.
sorts of things. So,
Yes.
for those watching as well, let's not wait until we get a diagnosis before
Sure.
we take care of ourselves.
Sure, yeah,
You
that
know?
wake-up call, as you said, is important.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that, from
Yeah,
God, yeah.
definitely. And of course, we spoke extensively about your support system.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to viewers who may know someone? I have a family member, I have a
Mm-hmm.
friend who was diagnosed. And in those situations, everybody is different.
Yeah.
But sometimes you are uncertain. What can I do to help? Should I mention it? Should I talk about it? Should I not talk about it? Should I pretend like everything is okay? Should I, what should I do then? What advice would you give a friend or a family member of somebody who has a diagnosis? What can they do to help?
Okay, just be there. And when the person is ready to talk about it, they would let you know.
Okay.
Just let them know that you are there for
Right.
them, right? And eventually they would start talking about it and that sort of thing. So my advice to the family and support system is just be there. Don't be too much. How are you doing? Yes, the concern is nice. How are you doing? But when it happens,
Right.
Good morning, everyone, again. You have been listening to a re-recorded session on cancer, surviving cancer, with Marinda Tousse, and the interview was conducted, by Candice Bernard. Now, this is our format. From next week, we'll be live, no recorded broadcast. We'll be live with our team, and we will be broadcasting out of VOP TV out there in Brooklyn. And we had us this morning on air. We had Pastor Morgan, but I think they went off at 10. I wasn't looking at the time, so they will not be hearing what I'm saying. But Claudius Morgan, he was interviewing us also. And also we were on 99.9 FM in Queens, New York. Apart from being on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, we are beginning to fly. We are taking this somewhere. And for those who have been with us all through the years, we want to say thank you very, very much. As we go on, more information will come to you, and we're gonna have a grand time. So until next week, when the team will be back with us, and we'll be back again in all those stations in the New York area, in St. Vincent. In fact, Pastor Morgan was listening to the program this morning, and he's in St. Vincent. So all that will continue to happen. and more will grow. May God bless you this morning. Have a great day, everyone. And until we meet again, be good to yourself. Bye-bye, everybody.